All Tomorrows is a sci-fi book written by C.M. Kozman about humanity's existence in the distant future. After colonizing Mars, humanity set forth to the rest of the cosmos. The Martian Americans and the regular Earth Americans banded together to explore and spread their seed. In order to expedite this process, they made fake humans out of copper skeletons. These were resources that were abundantly available, making sure that they were able to rapidly spread their species. And with this strategy, it seemed like they were on pretty good pace to being the next rulers of the entire universe. But in the vast ocean that is the universe, there always seems to be a bigger fish. Enter the Q. A race of aliens that were angry about the idea of another species trying to make the universe in their own image, because like that's kind of their thing. Stop it, only we can manipulate the universe. And the Q did the only thing that was justified in this scenario. They destroyed, depopulated, and deformed humanity. The Q, being masters of genetic and nanotechnological manipulation, were able to change the humans into something that wouldn't even resemble humanity in the end. With all of these, with this plethora of species that we were given today, we're going to be ranking them all in a tier list. This is a tier list video. Today we're going to be ranking all of the post-human species based on if I'd want to be that species. If it looked like I was reading that off of something, it's because it's a really long sentence and I couldn't remember it. Yeah, chat, so we're making a tier list. I don't really know what this is. We're going to be looking at every single post-human species, but technically there were two other species that were not just regular humans before the Q invaded. There were the Martians and the Star People. They're both basically just an evolution of humans, so they're kind of boring. I don't think I'd hate being a Martian though, because the only thing that really changed with them was the fact that they're a little taller than regular humans today. The Star People though, I think are gonna go lower, because like they're ugly and wrinkly and stupid, but after some consideration they do have some cool skirts, so both are going to B tier. Yeah, chat, this one's B tier. This one too. So I know the Q aren't actually post-human, but there are theories that they actually are a human species, which I can honestly believe. Like, look at this guy. Flesh cover bones. You're not fooling anybody. I have flesh on my bone. But okay, the immense power of being the Q, like, easy S tier. Give me a pug. I can make sure that guy breathes again. I can make sure he breathes. I'm telling you, he'll go from telling me you wouldn't want to be one. Okay, now into actual post-human species, and we're starting off incredibly weak with the worms. If you don't know what All Tomorrows is, then let me give you a rundown on the worms. They're worms. Forever bound to a life of eating, digging, and mating, the worms' lives are so incredibly trivial that I'm not even sure you could call it living. D tier. Oh chat, these ones suck. Why is D before C? Yeah, chat, these ones are bad. The Titans start off an incredibly interesting trend of the Q of making post-human species that are quadrupedal and also able to regain sentience, which is something that the Q really didn't want the humans to do. The Titans, with the size of their brains, were somewhat able to regain sentience, meaning they were somewhat able to regain a sense of humanity that was taken away from them by the Q. And regain sentience they did, huzzah! But they were killed. Yeah, unfortunately an ice age or something like got rid of them before they could do anything cool, like build a Walmart or a 7-lane highway. It's kind of a shame too, like they're honestly one of the more tame looking species, but like I wouldn't really mind being one. They're kind of cute. Just don't look for too long. B tier. Predators and prey, as you can guess from how boring the naming convention is, are boring themselves. The predators in All Tomorrow are basically El Chupacabra. In the prey... Okay, chat, listen, I would rather be this one. Because being this one is like your beta. The Q made another species capable of sentience that was quadrupedal called the Mantelope. Fully capable of emotions like happiness and sorrow and getting your heart broken by the 5'4" girl who has a wolf cut and plays Valorant. The Mantelopes used to essentially be slaves for the Q, jesters that performed for them. After the Q left though, they became grazers, but grazers in constant pain, constant remembrance, constant suffering. Generations pass and the only thing that is left is a husk of the human species that the Q once manipulated all those years ago. But at least they are no longer suffering with the curse of what makes everyone human, the knowledge that they're suffering. Without sentience, the swimmers were basically manatees. Thank God there's no pirates around. The swimmers are basically seals, but without sentience. They strayed incredibly far from humanity, which I actually don't think I'd mind being a swimmer, because like, I could be a seal.
These ones are ugly. Oh, these ones are bad. B tier.
The lizard herders lived incredibly peaceful lives, doing, you guessed it, herding lizards. The lizard herders don't have sentience, but what they do have are cool lizards. Look at this guy. Oh dude. Oh dude. Oh my god. Oh, that's so sick. That's so sick. These lizards do actually overtake them, like, eventually. In intelligence. I'm not too sure how. They never really specified that. There's actually 2 stages to this species, which is a pretty common thing in this book. We'll get to the rest later. For the first stage, where they're herding lizards, I give it a B tier. And for the second stage, where like the humans are overtaken, I'd probably give it an A tier. What, you thought I was gonna be mad at the lizards for herding me? Nah, man. I love to be a little lizard servant person. Catching bugs, carrying my lizard master, etc. But that's not even why I put it in A tier. It's because in the book, they talk about the Saurosapients, not the people. And I know it's not a post-human species technically, but it's also my video, so I can do what I want. And I want to be a lizard. 1 lab coat and a science experiment gone awry, please.
I'm gonna eat your anus. Stop saying that!
This one's B tier, chat. But this one over here, the A tier. Oh shit. Forgot about this one.
Temptors are an incredibly funny species to me. Look at them. Look at them. So silly. Temptors work with gender hierarchies, where the females are the ones sticking out of the ground, and the males are the little short kings. From this photo, you might think that the males actually have the power over the women, which is the complete opposite. See, the females, in ways that I can only assume is magic, are able to somehow manipulate the men into doing literally everything they want. This means that the males don't have any free will, so yeah, since the gender of what you are as a tempter matters a pretty significant amount, I think I'm going to be rating them separately, and wherever it falls in the middle, that's where they're going to be. So obviously, it's not that great, just like sticking out of the ground, so I think I'll give the female tempters a C tier, and then the males seem like they got it worse, so I'll give them an A tier. That's right. This brings the species up to a B tier, and I will not be elaborating on my ranking. You can make up your own assumptions. So I'm going to read out a bonus description of how these creatures reproduce.
The female's elongated pit like vaginas. When mating, the males descend into it like subway commuters.
If that's not one of the funniest things you've ever read, then I don't know. You can read this. I hope I put something funny up. The bone crushers are one of the species that were able to keep their bipedalism and, more importantly, their intelligence, meaning that they were able to maintain civilization somewhat. Before the Q left, the bone crushers were used as pets for the Q. They were bred specifically for their beautiful beaks, just like how us red-blooded Americans hunt them rhino. But after the Q left, they were no longer pampered, so they needed to sustain off of a scavenger diet. Their civilizations were able to come back, but due to their incredibly specific diet, they weren't able to survive for a very long time. While their species was around though, I don't think I would still want to, I wouldn't want to. I still don't think I'd want to be one of them. They're hairy and smelly and, worst of all, ugly. At the end of the day, the most important thing in your existence is how pretty you are, so C tier. The colonials are arguably the most famous species that we're talking about in this book today. After fending off the Q's attacks twice, they were taken out on the third wave. Due to their resilience and stubbornness, in an act of petty revenge, they made this species in particular suffer tons more than the other ones. The colonials were degraded down to what only could be described as blocks of human flesh. These blocks of human flesh were used as filtration systems for the Q's waste, and in order to keep the torture to a maximum, the colonials were not stripped of their intelligence or their eyes, meaning not only did they know what was going on as it happened to them, they could see everything that was going on, fully aware of every second of it. Being forced to an existence in which the only feeling is pain is why the colonials going after you, dude.
Chat, what if I'm gonna die?
The flyers fly. Oh my god, wow, what an amazing name. I could have never guessed that. The names in this book are so silly sometimes. The flyers are like dinosaurs that can fly. Like these ones. Or these ones. Or this. There's some like evolutionary mumbo jumbo that happens with the flyers in the future. But we're not focusing on that. We're looking at the current flyers as it's written in the book. And to be honest, easy A tier. You can fly. The hand flappers cannot fly. D tier. There was like an episode of Johnny Test or something where like there was like a species of like moles or something, and like Johnny was like, oh, you gotta kill them or something. I don't remember. All I remember is that the episode of what are they talking about? All I remember is the episode of Johnny Test made me want to live underground. My dream home is an underground bunker filled with titanium walls where I only feast on canned beans and watch reruns of How I Met Your Mother. Due to my yearning for the underground, the blind folk go in A tier. Unfortunately, they die due to like earthquakes or whatever. Otherwise, they would be S tier.
Oh shit. Oh fuck. I didn't think anyone knew about that. You guys can leave my ex-wife out of it.
Dude, the lopsiders are like so ugly. Look at them. Yeah, I'm trying to throw up too. It's crazy. The reason that they look like this is because the Q transported them to a planet in which the gravity was much higher than the ones that the humans were originally inhabiting. So they got a little bit crushed. Got a little bit crushed. They got crushed like a cake. Sure, they thrived and they were able to be very successful in the coming future, but that doesn't matter. They're ugly. And like I said earlier, life isn't worth living if you aren't pretty. At the end of the day, the most important thing is how pretty you are. So C tier.
You guys aren't even supposed to know that my ex-wife exists. She still exists. She's not dead or
like the lopsiders, the striders were put onto a planet by the Q in which the gravity was incredibly different, but this time instead of being incredibly high, it was incredibly low. Because of this, they're really tall. These gentle giants, despite being very cool looking, are also incredibly fragile. They're easily susceptible to damage, meaning that the simple act of tripping can literally kill them. They will die if they fall. I don't think I'm like the least agile person in the world, meaning I don't think it would be a good idea for one of the greatest threats for me to be little B tier. Parasites are parasites. I don't like parasites. They are ugly. D tier.
Rehab was supposed to be a fresh start, but no matter how many
The hedonists, very aptly named, were designed essentially to always be doing each other. Unknowing to the pains of life, all they know is pleasure. A life full of pure bliss created by the Q. They were designed this way so they could serve as pets. Not a single thought positive or negative ran through these creatures' minds. Honestly, that seems pretty nice. I don't know why it wouldn't go in S tier.
That ain't before you get a whooping. You better hit that before you get a whooping.
Due to their incredibly sustainable diet, the insect... I can't say that word. Due to their incredibly sustainable diet, the insect people were able to survive an incredibly long time. Eating bugs every day does not sound that bad either. I'm gonna put the slur in A tier.
A slur in the name.
The spacers were actually not touched by the Q at all, making them another non-post-human species that is on this tier list, but I don't care. It's my video. In an effort to avoid them, a group of star people hid in asteroid fields. Due to them living in these areas for such a long amount of time, their internal organs were shaped in a way that makes them sort of look like they could have been touched by the Q. But my favorite part about the spacers is the way that they get around is by farting. It's really funny. It's like so funny, man. Dude, that's like so funny. Oh, that's so funny. Fuck. Fuck, dude. Shit, that's so funny. S tier. The Ruin Haunters are where the Q slipped heavy. The Q did wipe sentience from the Ruin Haunters, but because they did not destroy the cities that the star people left behind, they were kind of given with like an almanac of like all human intelligence. So, with the vast amount of knowledge left behind by the star people of before, the Ruin Haunters were able to pretty much go back to taking over the universe, and the Q was nothing but another hurdle for the star people. A tier.
And walked right straight back to me.
What did you say to him?
I didn't get anything out of him.
Oh my god.
Okay, that's all of the ones from like before. Okay, so now there's like the other ones. Okay, so I alluded to it before with the lizard people, but a lot of the species have a second variant to go along with them, just like how the lizard herders became the herded. So we're going to be going over all those now, the first of which being the worms, which evolved into the snake people. Although in their past lives the worms seemed to live incredibly animalistically, somehow by some miracle they were able to develop sentience. Because they were able to regain sentience, they kind of live how human people live today on Earth, reading books, smoking weed, and watching Jeff Dunham specials.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
S tier cause they look cool. The predators became what is now known as the killer folk. Keeping the ability to kill with their bare hands, over time they were able to develop civilizations once again. But due to their killer nature being a bit primitive, they were building their societies around their ability to kill. There were these hierarchies based on how good you are at killing and how big and strong you are. All of this, of course, was incredibly normal for the killer folk. It was sort of in their blood, but as time progressed, there was sort of a divide. The killer folk societies were split in two on whether or not they should keep living this way or if their way of life was too animalistic. And because of this, I don't know if I want to be one. I feel like if I was, I'd be like Hiccup from How to Train Your Dragon. But instead of like taming killer folk, I guess, like I would probably just die. So I'm gonna put them in C tier. But the one pictured in the book has a cool hat, and if everyone can have a cool hat, B tier.
By the way, Oswald being on the first floor at noon does absolutely nothing to prevent him from being on the sixth.
The swimmers, which I touched on super briefly, turned into the tool breeders, a species that, like the Q, manipulated other species to their benefit. But in where the Q did it for galactic domination, tool breeders did it to survive. They were doing this before they even gained sentience, which means that after they did, the oceans were pretty much all theirs to conquer. And conquered they did, building beautiful Atlanteal-like cities full of beauty, glory, all built by these dolphin-looking things. Does the fact that the creatures that did this look like the dolphins that we have on Earth today, like, scare me? No. But one thing is certain. I've always wanted to live in the water. There was like that advertisement for Atlantis, like the hotel, and I thought that the slide just shot you into the ocean at the end. It doesn't. I was really disappointed by that. But yeah, I'm meant to be a mer person, so the tool breeders are going in S tier. Now, we talked about the colonials and how their lives were essentially just there so that they could suffer. But there's some good news. Because they were meant to live so long and withstand all of these things, they could live in pretty much any condition. This, along with their kept sentience, helped them evolve into the modular people. Using their very unique bodies that the Q gave them, the modular people coexist in the best kind of way. They need each other in order to function, kind of like a Megazord from Power Rangers, but instead of like fighting big monsters, they are an amalgamation of flesh, skin, and thought that created civilizations. It's still cool. Me personally though, like, it's cool, like, you know, Utopia and everything. They're so silly still. I'm a strong and independent and a woman, and I don't need a man, so B tier. I actually don't know if they have genders, these things. Probably not.
On the first floor. She could not be sure that this was Oswald, but she said she felt it was.
While the tool breeders ruled the seas, the Sapiens ruled the skies and above. The Sapiens, who evolved from the flyers, were able to create incredibly complex and intricate societies incredibly quickly due to their gift of flight. It allowed them to spread ideas much faster than we were able to back in the day. Because like back in the day, we needed to like ride boats and get dysentery. There was no internet. It's not games on your phone. The main problem for the Sapiens is their heart. Due to their ability to fly, they live incredibly short lives because of how complex their bodies needed to be in order to give them this ability. Even though their lives were so short, they lived incredibly fulfilled lives. Sapiens were able to live a fully realized life, a very happy life with the short amount of time that they were given, and that seems very enjoyable in my opinion. I don't think I'm gonna make it past 35 willingly, to be honest. If I make it to 35, like, it's all downhill. I peaked at 8. S tier. Like I said before, the lopsiders are ugly. And asymmetric people are ugly. Sure, they're a feat of evolution and their societies are incredibly well made, blah blah blah, whatever. They're ugly. And bad looking. Pretty much nothing separates them from being a regular human besides the fact that their gravity is different. I don't even really like being a human, so why would I put them any higher? Going to C tier.
Oh, chat. Oh, these... Chat. Chat. Oh, chat.
The symbiotes, which derive from the parasites, are pretty much just like the parasites, but they have a codependent relationship in a different way. Since evolutionarily, I would still be a parasite, I don't think I'd like to be a parasite living off of another person. Like, that's kind of gay. They're still ugly, but not as ugly. So, C tier. The fingerfishers, which I made a BoJack Horseman joke about, are crazy. Look at this guy. And then this is what he turns into. It's crazy. So instead of maybe like, I don't know, developing like tools to help them fish better, they just straight up, they turn into boats. The sail people use wing-like fins to traverse the ocean, and they're automatically going in S tier because of how insane this species is. Are you serious? Take away the part of like being a pirate where you have to be a pirate and just be the boat because you're boat. Like, that's, look at this picture. Look at this picture. Hedonists were already in S tier, but their predecessors also go in S tier because, dude, freaking look at this guy. Straight up baller. Straight up cool guy. The hedonists originally were sort of seen as like unable to survive for a very long time without the Q. But after a huge extinction event, few of them survived. These few included the Satyriac, and their lives just straight up consist of sex, drugs, and rock and roll. What a cool, God, what a cool species.
Oh, chat. Oh, dude. Oh, dude. Oh, fuck. Oh.
The insect batword turn into the bug facers, which are basically the same as the insect batword, but they have like, they're smarter. So they're gonna go into B tier as well, because even though they are smarter, because they're smarter, they probably have much more hardships. The spacers just evolved even more into the Asteromorphs. Pretty much just the spacers, but they've mastered the ability to traverse through space. They're like little spaceships. S tier.
Oh chat. Oh chat. Oh chat. Oh chat.
Okay, we're the last one. Final species is the descendants of the Ruin Haunters. Due to their hefty amount of knowledge that they were given by the cities in which the Star People built that the Q neglected to destroy, they were able to evolve incredibly quickly. But the thing is, the reason they were able to evolve so quickly was because they were able to replace their body parts with those of machinery. Many humans have theorized about the possibility of transporting your consciousness into a piece of machinery, essentially giving you the ability to live forever. This is pretty much what the Gravitals are, and I've thought about this. I don't think I would want to be one. All of the species on this list have a set lifespan, a set amount of time before they pretty much have to die. But the Gravitals don't really have that. Since they're machinery, you can just keep replacing their parts, a la Ship of Theseus. Unfortunately, I think that I'm like a hefty believer in the thing that makes life special is the fact that it ends thing. So sorry Gravitals, due to my pretentious bullshit, I'm gonna have to put you in A tier. Yeah, it's still pretty high. It would be pretty cool to be like a big like floating machine, honestly. Like, I can't lie. So that's my list of all the species from All Tomorrows, based on how much I would want to be that species. It's actually the official list because I'm right. And oh yeah, let me know what you think. Put your own list in the comments and stuff like that. Give me a kiss. You can check out my other videos. I have like 2 of them that are like sort of the same as this, but like not really. I have a Gangnam style cover, so that's pretty. I don't know Korean.
Okay, chat, can I gamble now? Heads, 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 heads.
Hey, sexy lady. Oh, 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 oh. Open Gangnam Style.
Thanks for making it to the very end. I appreciate you.